Hi, my name is John O'Brien. I'm the Vice Chairman of CB Richard Ellis, Canada. I've been in the business for almost 40 years. It'll be 40 years next year that I started in the business. And CB in Canada is approximately 2,000 people and is probably the largest multidiscipline company in the real estate business in Canada. I came straight to Canada. I wrote my last exam on a Friday, arrived in Canada on the Sunday, and started as an appraiser on the Monday. And I was an appraiser for 11 years, which taught me a lot about real estate and also that appraisers are never right. So being wrong for 11 years was great training for brokerage and wonderful training for marriage. I think it just gave me confidence to understand value in all property types. When you start an appraisal, you work from the basics up, and that really helped me understand really every facet of real estate in every region in Canada. It would be a commission arbitration. Problem with commission arbitration is these are your people that you are arbitrating, and the winner invariably never remembers that you awarded that person the advantage, and the loser will remember it forever. So it's a classic no-win situation. That would be Summit REIT, which ultimately became the ING portfolio. We were within 25 cents of having a deal, and to this day I wake up in the middle of the night still figuring I don't know how we didn't do that deal. I'm a groundhog. I figure I'm going to wait until the spring, emerge and see what it looks like, because it's not what you can anticipate, it's what you can anticipate and then the unintended consequences of that. And it's very difficult to see right now how this is all going to play out. There are some bad things on the horizon that we do know. It's just how much it affects us. Well, without being sort of self-aggrandizing, the only model I really know well is ours. And what I would tell you is that that model evolves almost every day. As corporate Canada, corporate US, corporate Europe, corporate Asia basically faces new challenges every day. If you're in that business, you're adapting every day. But the two things that you're really trying to do is anticipate change and facilitate change. Those two things for your customers is really what they're looking for. I think the three things, I don't think there's anything new under the sun. So I don't think there's a great, if there was a great innovation, we'd all find it, and then it wouldn't be a great innovation because it wouldn't be very innovative. But for us, it's about getting better and better people. And it's about training those people. And the last part is communication. I've been going to corporate seminars for close to 40 years, and the number one problem in every organization has been the same since I started, which is communication. So the better communication you have, the more you're a team-driven culture, the better you will do. Yeah, but that's almost concomitant with actually just better people. That's what's staggering. What's staggering is the quality of the people who are coming into our business. Because remember, in the early to mid to late 90s, we had a real dearth of new people coming in. And the last 5 or 6 years, caliber of the people entering this business is very high, particularly on that fee services side of the business. I think it's professional. It constantly professionalizes. It's on a fairly steep curve that way. But more than that, it's more important in our overall scheme of things. What we're looking to do, along with everybody else, is you want to stabilize your cash flows. Those businesses are very much more predictable than the brokerage business. Margins are not as high, but if they're predictable, they add a certain floor under your operations, which means that if you get the balance right, then you can actually protect your brokerage businesses from severe downturns. Well, we're in most of those other businesses. I mean, we have a lot of shadow businesses that sort of parallel that. So, but if you're talking about sort of the accounting companies and people like that, not as much as you think, actually. I think that the base of information that we have, the base of professionals that we have in our business has improved so much in the last 5 or 6 years that I think you're now responding to those client requirements. New service providers will only come in if you're not servicing your clients properly. That's a given. I think what normally happens is it's good to be big or small. The tough place is to be in the middle, because when things get really tough, you don't have scale, and in the fast times, you don't have that nimbleness that a small operation will have. So you don't win 100% on the way up, and you don't win 100% on the way down. And our business is particularly volatile now. The business cycles have shortened, so it's tough for mid-sized firms. No, because the clients will actually sort you out. Clients will find good brokers, and those good brokers will thrive, and the most successful firms are the firms that have the largest aggregation of good brokers. Don't want to sound repetitive, but I don't think it's changed from the Roman Forum, to be honest with you, which is that listen to your customer, put your customer first, and just tell the truth. If you're honest and you work hard and you listen to your customer, you will be successful. It's been from time immemorial. And I know it sounds simplistic, I know it sounds like pablum, but the reason that those rules have survived is because they're truisms. I don't think it's anything new. I mean, the firms that we're dealing with, again, they're also customer driven, because they're all service firms by and large. So they're customer driven, so they're listening to their customers. They're trying to do risk mitigation. Again, I keep getting back to risk. It's an essential component in business today. The business cycles are so short now that you can get caught out by committing large sums of money that you can't actually retrieve. So a lot of them now are going to this sort of risk mitigation strategy. And the best example is looking for lease givebacks, looking for flexibility in leases. A lot of our corporate clients are looking for way more flexibility than they did 5 years ago. Yes and sort of no. What I mean by that is I think that this urbanization that we're seeing, this sort of clustering around the middle and these 24-hour cities, is definitely a trend, and employers are noticing that because their employees are moving back into the city. But I think that that's also combined in Toronto with this boom in financial services. Financial services is clearly a core industry for the Toronto area now. And as we've seen this sort of fallout around the world, and we've seen our financial institutions grow relatively and absolutely, I think that those two trends are actually converging in Toronto. So I think Toronto is a particular example of that urbanization trend. No, I think it is more of a balancing now. I don't think the suburbs have grown anywhere near as much in the last 3 or 4 years as the core area has. But I'd still put it to you, if you have a spouse and 2 kids, you're not going to be living in a 650 square foot condo. So a lot of your employees are still going to be living in Mississauga, Brampton, Ajax, Whitby, and Oshawa. So yes, you can get downtown, but also a lot of those employees want to live and work close together. So that suburban trend isn't going anywhere soon. That's still, I think the challenge for the suburbs is, how do you turn yourself into an urban model? That's really the challenge for the next 10 or 15 years. No, I think the only thing that would do that, well, 2 things that could do it. It was a severe shift in the fundamentals, which I don't see. Slowing down won't hurt Canada because we're quite resilient on the demand-supply curve. And the only other thing could do it is rising interest rates. And when the Fed made their announcement the other day, saying that for the next 2 years they're going to keep rates down, that basically shifted the whole picture on inflation, what inflation could do to interest rates out 2 years. So I think it's given a period of stability to the entire investment market. Didn't much. It was just another experience. You know, markets go up, markets go down. It taught me and a lot of people in our business about resilience, which is just hanging in there, because it was as bad as it could be. I don't think it could have been any worse. And it was worse on 2 levels, one on a business level, but on a personal level. You saw a lot of careers destroyed. You saw a lot of people's net worth disappear, and that was very tough. But I don't think it was the sort of dirty 30s depression era where you never spend a penny again. Most of the people who were in the business in the 90s who are prospering now, I don't think are highly restrained. They're just a little bit more cautious, that's all. I think it's all about jobs. I mean, our business is quintessentially a residual business. It's about bums on seats and feet on the floor and shoppers in the shops, and I don't think that is going to turn around quickly. If you think about how much money the US has pumped into their economy to get a 1% improvement in unemployment, I think it's a long haul. And I think there was an article in the Globe today, but I believe, and I've been saying it for a long time, our future lies as much in Asia as it does with the US, and we wouldn't have said that before this last recession. Last time anyone really touted that, there was a recession. In fact, every time anyone touts that, there's a recession. So I'm not going to tempt fate. I think it's a redundant term. We can't be a world-class city like London or Paris because we haven't been around for 1,000 years. What I would say to you is I think that Toronto is emerging as probably one of the more interesting cities in the world. And as much for its multicultural approach and the fact that we seem to have figured out how to create a tolerant society in a relatively intolerant world. We figured out immigration, and I don't think most cities in the world have, and they still struggle with it. And in that sense, I think that we are quite a singular city in this world. Nota bene, right opposite the Opera House. It's great food without all the pretentious crap that you get everywhere else. Somewhere in a circus, and all the clowns who want to dismantle waterfront Toronto should go with it. My heart would say yes, my head says no. Too much unemployment, unfortunately. My favorite vacation spot is my cottage down at Moose Harbour, Nova Scotia. Paradise on earth. Favorite city is Paris, by a long way. Probably my first boss, Gordon Gray. He was one of the founders of what was then A.E. LePage, is now Cushman. He taught me the value of a network. In those days, everyone had Rolodexes, and he had the best Rolodex I've ever seen, and I've never lost that knowledge of you're as good as the network that you build. Probably as the first time that we've seen interest rates this low for this sustained a period with relative prosperity. Because again, we keep looking at this as being some sort of downturn. For Canada, this has actually been a very interesting period. We may be the least ugly pig, but we're pretty good looking in comparison to everybody else's livestock. I am very collaborative. I think you're nothing without a team. It goes with this networking philosophy, networking inside, networking outside. I don't see the difference. And I don't think that you have to be some sort of SOB to get stuff done. I think you can do it as much with a smile as you can with something else. They are bemused by the fact that we are now doing better than they are. And I think it comes as a great shock. I try and explain that we are twice the physical size with 1/10 of the population, and when you amortize the raw materials we have over the population we have, it's hard not to be a winner to some extent. And it's fascinating watching all the politicians take credit for the fact that we're a big country. I'm not sure they actually have much to do with it, but they are certainly jumping on that bandwagon fairly quickly. I have not had a bad day at work since I started, and that's not an exaggeration. And I have worked in factories, and I have cleaned offices when I was a kid. And I will tell you that my worst day at work is a lot of people's best day, and I keep that in mind every day when I come in here. I'm probably the wrong person to ask, but I'm sure they do. Out of almost 2,000 people, there must be somebody. I don't think it's that high a bar that you're aiming for. I know Lorne Braithwaite exceptionally well, and I have a great deal of admiration for Lorne Braithwaite, both for his skill and at my advanced age, his longevity.